Hi, thanks for joining me for our first Facebook Live to talk about Uniting for Ukraine and how you can be a sponsor for newcomers through Uniting for Ukraine. We have received a lot of questions, and we'll go through some of those. Want to go over what it means to be a sponsor circle. A sponsor circle is made up by a 5-member team of adults anywhere USA that would like to get involved and help a newcomer family to resettle in their new life here in the United States. It expands our capacity to welcome newcomers in their time of need and is a great way for everyone to be able to get involved. So if you have any questions throughout this, please leave in the comments. And if we don't get to all of your questions this evening, please reach out to us. I am more than happy to get back to you via email and answer any questions that you have to see how you can get involved. So, to start us off, I will go through some of the questions that we have received. So, like I said before, Sponsor Circle, any number of at least 5 people get together and form a sponsor circle to support newcomers. And so, where do newcomers want to go? That is one of the top questions that I have received. And through Uniting for Ukraine, people fleeing Ukraine are really focused on being somewhere safe. There is not a necessarily specific area. There might be some locations that have already a Ukrainian diaspora and they know people that they're trying to be close to, but by and large, they are open to anywhere that they can get that is safe. And we are already supporting Ukrainian sponsor circles all over the country, including in Illinois, Wisconsin, New Mexico, Alaska, and Montana. And each of those locations have really experienced the community just rallying around them and making sure that needs are met and that the newcomers feel welcomed in their new home. What are the responsibilities of a sponsor? So sponsors help the newcomers get their life set up here. So sponsors assist the newcomers with all of their initial needs, including welcoming them at the airport, getting them set up with benefits, assisting them with applying for the employment authorization documents, finding safe and affordable housing, getting children registered for school, English as a second language classes, job search, getting their resumes ready to go and everything like that that is included in the job search process. So basically A to Z, everything that needs to happen for them to get set up in their new life. So who can become a sponsor? Well, there is a process of application that one person will fill out the I-134 through USCIS, and then after that is approved, you are eligible to book travel for the newcomers. And then that only has to be one person on the sponsor circle, and then the others rally around and help that the sponsor circle to succeed. So, what are the steps to becoming a sponsor circle? Sponsoring through sponsor circles, we'll drop the link to visit sponsorcircles.org to complete an application. And then you can, from there, mark React DC as your umbrella organization, and we will guide you through the process from A to Z. Like I say, we have already supported several Uniting for Ukraine sponsor circles, and we've also supported over 60 sponsor circles through Afghan resettlement as well. And Megan is dropping some links in the comment section for easy access to those things. So another question that we've received is, who reviews and approves the Uniting for Ukraine application? So sponsor circles, as I mentioned, you'll apply through sponsorcircles.org to be a sponsor circle. And they have an application process. But to apply for sponsoring a specific Ukrainian, it is a form through USCIS that is the I-134, and that is completed by the individual, and then approval from that. That is handled through USCIS. And it usually takes a couple of days for that approval to come in. Another question is, I don't know any Ukrainians or people fleeing Ukraine. How do I get connected? If you do know a person fleeing Ukraine, great, you can start there and go ahead and fill out the I-134 for that specific person. Otherwise, welcome.us has created an online platform, and Megan can drop that in the comment section as well, for connecting potential sponsors to potential beneficiaries. And there may be other ways to connect on a case-by-case basis. How long is the commitment for a sponsor? The commitment is, on the I-134, it is a 2-year commitment. It is important to note that that 2-year is not saying that you're completely responsible for those people for the full 2 years. It's just that's the amount of time that they are eligible to be here through the I-134 process. And then I kind of dropped off, but the other thing I was saying is we do have other avenues of connection on a case-by-case basis if the welcome.us platform or you don't know a Ukrainian already. Thank you, Megan, for dropping those links for me. Some of the biggest challenges for sponsors, a huge challenge for a lot of sponsors is the housing piece. And right now, I know a lot of people know that the housing market is pretty tight nationwide. So I'd say that is probably the biggest hurdle we have seen so far. And a way to handle that well is to really network. And a lot of people have found that by getting in with landlords that are local or willing to work with you in a less than traditional lease situation sometimes, or there are ways to find safe and affordable housing. But I would say housing has been probably the biggest hurdle for some. What is their employment eligibility? Great question. No, they cannot start working right away. They do have to apply for employment authorization documents through the USCIS. It's a form I-765. And that can take some time. We don't have exact time frames, but it can take up to a couple of months. They are streamlining the process. It hasn't been expedited at this point, but hopefully it will be at some point. I don't exactly know what they mean when they say streamlined, but they can apply for that online, and applying for it online is faster than doing it via mail. So it will take some time before they can start working. And that's just going to be kind of a case by case. There's no one size fits all for how long that could be. But once they do have that employment authorization, the goal is that they would be self-sufficient within, some time after they receive that. And while we can't guarantee anything, we do see a good number that are coming with, some savings and funds of their own. So it's not 100% falling on the sponsors. for all financial security? It's a great question. Are there tax breaks for sponsorship? No, there are not tax breaks for sponsorship that I have found yet. Some people do fundraise through nonprofits and things like that, and um, that can be a donation in kind. We have seen some, landlords that will donate some rent in kind and can use that as a tax write-off. But generally speaking, no. That's a great question. Oh, I see Megan dropped the link for React Works, and I'll go ahead and mention that's a great resource for finding employment. That is a site that we have started that has employers that are geared toward helping the refugee population. So that's a great place to start looking. Can they bring pets? Great question. Yes, they can. They do have to, there's a process for that. As far as like the rabies testing and all of that, I'm not 100% knowledgeable of every tick on that checklist. There is a process, but we have successfully seen at least 2 dogs that I'm aware of and a cat that has come with their people. So that is a possibility. Another question I've been asked is, what are the next steps after my application is approved? And once your application is approved through USCIS and the I-134, it's just a matter of booking travel for the newcomers. You'll be approved, they'll be approved, and then you can book travel accordingly. As far as to be set up on a sponsor circle, similar timeline with the named cases like that. It won't take too long before it gets rolling. So the hard part is making that match. So it depends on if you already are matched to a newcomer or if you're looking to be matched. How long does it take to get matched? It can vary. Like I say, if you know someone, then congratulations, you're matched. Otherwise, people reach out to us frequently looking for sponsorship, and we can hand match those. And then the Welcome US platform for connection is, I don't know for sure the average timeline on that. They are matching as quickly as possible. I know that. Does React have partnerships with mental health providers? We don't have specific partnerships with mental health providers, but we will put you in touch. They'll be eligible for Medicaid and all of their medical benefits, and we can put you in touch with the state refugee health coordinator, and they will have information on state-specific eligibility and where people can be seen as needed. Question that someone sent in was, how do I help with schooling and education? Sign them up. Public schools should be equipped and know how to get the resources required to meet individual needs. So it's a good idea to reach out to your schools and let them know that you're going to be sponsoring someone, and that way they can be prepared when it does happen. And then beyond that, React DC actually has an education specialist if you have questions about specific needs on a case-by-case basis. So I'm happy to connect you as well. Great question. Is there a ballpark figure for finances before applying as a sponsor? So the vetting is done by the USCIS through the I-134. And Megan, I think you might have a link that outlines a little bit more about that. They determine eligibility based on the National Poverty Guidelines. And so they are really the ones that determine whether or not someone is eligible to be a sponsor of a Ukrainian or a person fleeing Ukraine. Guideline is a little tricky. It's going to cost a lot more in New York than it is in Nebraska. So cost of living in any given location plays a big role. So yeah, that's a hard question to answer because a lot of it's going to depend on where you live. But that is the guidelines that they use to determine eligibility. Another question I've been asked is what documents and benefits might I need to help a beneficiary apply for? And that is all of them. We do have great resources, state by state guide for sponsors to use so that they know how to get connected within their own state and get them signed up where they need to be. Besides school, work, housing, is there a guide for other day-to-day responsibilities for sponsors? Yes. We have a checklist that we will send to you as you go through sponsorship. I don't know about day-to-day responsibilities of sponsors, but an overview of what should be taken care of. Of course, you're going to want to make sure they know where to shop for groceries and all of those community orientation type things. And especially early on, they will be looking to the sponsors for everything, including, social support because they won't know anyone. So early on, it's a pretty extensive lift as far as getting them acclimated. And then over time, once they get to know their surroundings and meet some people, then they should need less of that daily load for the sponsor circle. Someone asked what they can do prior to receiving their employment authorization. And I would definitely recommend using that time to brush up on English skills, practice resume building or interview skills and resume writing to make sure it's ready for the American job market. And those soft skills, learning how to interview here, practicing things like that, getting to know the local community and making connections, networking, looking for those opportunities, even if you don't have employment documents in hand yet, preparing for it so that when you do receive those documents, you can get ready and go. Should potential sponsors contact React directly? Absolutely. Reach out to me and we will get you where you need to be. And then you can also go to sponsorcircles.org and start the process to fill out application. Sign up if you're going to want to use the platform on welcome.us. You're more than welcome. It doesn't really matter what order you do anything in, but I am definitely available and happy to work through all of the processes with you. Is cultural orientation up to the sponsor? Does React DC provide tips? So I assume you mean for them learning US culture? Yes, that does largely fall on the sponsor. And I will guide through that as best I can. As far as the other way around, when you go to sponsorcircles.org, they have a knowledge course that you will take, and culture is included in that, so you can start to learn about their culture and prepare for them. Oh, thanks, Megan. Yeah, there's my email address. I'm more than happy to answer any questions additional. Yes, U.S. culture. Yeah, that will fall pretty much squarely on the sponsor. All right. And Megan, did I miss any of the questions that I had received ahead of time? Do I or can I host the sponsorees in my home, or should I arrange other options right off the bat? Um, the intention isn't necessarily to host them in your home. Some might have a separate entry, guest house or over the garage apartment type situation that would be appropriate. Generally speaking, the intention is that you would find another option from the start. By sponsoring through sponsorcircles.org as a sponsor circle, you do have the availability to use some donated Airbnb credits, should that be necessary to get you started in the beginning. And then that should help while you're looking for long-term housing. Oh, thank you, Megan. Sorry about that. Yes, Megan just dropped every Monday, I think it's 6 p.m. Eastern, there is a application support session. As you work through your application, you can go to that and find out more about what's required to be an official sponsor circle. And that's not the only way to sponsor. There are other options as well. If you don't have 5 people to make the full sponsor circle, there are other options for you as well to sponsor. And then I'm just reading back through, making sure I didn't miss anything from the early questions. Yes, thank you, Megan. Again, email us with any questions that come up that didn't get answered here. And Megan, did I hit all of the ones that we had received prior to time? Thank you. Thank you for being here and joining in and asking such great questions. I'm just looking back through to make sure I don't have any that I missed that I wanted to include. All right, looks like I hit them all of the previous ones. Well, thank you for joining me. And again, let us know if we can answer any further questions. And we hope that you find a way to get involved with this great cause. Have a good night.